All right, we call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Evacuation procedure for emergency. We have exits here, back there, and the door we all came in. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mrs. Snyder? Here. Mrs. Gendron? Here. Mrs. Paradis?
Here.
Mr. Droz?
Here.
And Mrs. Geller?
Excused.
Thank you.
I'd like to turn the presentation over to Superintendent O'Shea.
Thank you very much, Vice President. So before we begin, I have some great news that I want to share. So today, there was a gathering at Cohoes High School at 3:30 to find out what the, who was going to make it into the Proctor Musical Awards. And we have been nominated, our high school performance of The Descendants, for 3 different areas. Well, Best Supporting Actor, Carmen Tarlow, and Best Supporting Actor, Ray Phillips, and Best Musical, Tiercy. So we will find out on May 10th at Proctor's, you know, how we do. Just for those of you who had the opportunity, it was just an amazing, amazing show. Just such wonderful, you know, actors and performance, and a big thank you to the directors, and just wanted to share that hot off the press. So following that, we have some questions came up from the last few meetings, and so we have CSR Turner to address some of them. I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you. Paul Nickerson, project architect with CSR. We've met most everyone here today, so good to be in front of you again today, this afternoon, evening. Do you have a slide?
And the board has the materials as well.
Okay.
Just, you know.
Yep, so I'm here today, this evening, to report that we opened bids for the additional site work contract the other week or so ago. It was on March 19th. There were 3 bids that were submitted: Dustin Paving, Newcastle Paving, and Shaker Flats. Shaker Flats is the low bidder on budget, including the alternates. There were a base bid, and then there was 5 alternates. So in our graphic here today, we have that to show to you. So the orange color is the base bid area. It's the paving and drainage back behind the high school. That was the kitchen receiving area. That includes the underground drainage, storm collection, ties into the system going around the building. Then it's new paving in that area, extending out around the maintenance garage area out to where the circle is, where the flagpole is. By the front. The rest of the drive, which is rendered in no color on the screen, that's part of the current contract work this summer. So the whole drive will be cleared as part of this contract work, as well as the work up along Madeline Dickey. So the orange is the base bid area. So that's that piece. That also includes 8 additional parking spaces off the multi-purpose field area, where there is a concrete pad now, so it extends off that area. That's those additional parking spaces, plus some turnaround space. So that's the base bid, and then we have the alternates. So alternate number 1 is milling and repaving the main parking lot in front of the school building. It's roughly 110 current spaces, no change in parking there. It's basically milling what's there now, putting down new top coat, and then reline striping. Alternate 2 is the smaller parking space. Alternate number 3 is the batting cage out off of the third base line on the baseball field. So the batting cage towards Diggy Drive up that direction. Includes not only the batting cage itself, but includes synthetic turf surfacing, chain link fence surrounding the cage, and conduit or electrical to be run to that area from the building. That's why the line kind of extends back, so that's the building. The electrical itself will be issued to the current contractor as an allowance, the current electric contractor for the capital project. So that's alternate number 3. Alternate number 4, improvements to the fencing. Moving a section of fencing on that's the north side or the west side of the purpose field, and then replacement of the fence along there Drive. It includes some or higher fence. A lot of the fence is 4 feet, 6 feet, and then it jumps up to 8 feet, I believe, along the outfield portion of the baseball field. And then instead of following all the way out to the end of Madeline Drive, it curves in to meet up with the 30th line baseball. So that's alternate number 4. So I just said 3, 4, apologies. Alternate 4 is the fencing, and then alternate 5 is the milling and topping the Harmony Hill playground area or play surface area. It's for basketball courts and force players, dodgeball, and that sort of stuff. It also includes some under drainage at the perimeter of the playgrounds equipment area. Drains out this side. So that's alternate number 5. Any questions about the scope of work?
If we did do alternate number 3, would we also make sure we had a minimum left of tape in there so we could pull through for a scoreboard in the future?
Yes, yep. So there's conduit, it has pulling conduit or pulling electrical through it. We could leave the drawstring there. The contract installs it with a drawstring, and the electrical pulls their wiring through the
Pull it back through.
pull the additional drawstrings.
Anything we can do to future proof.
In our graphic, we started looking at it would take further development, but the potential for adding additional parking, and it's been raising concern for the community administration. Where can we add additional parking on the site? So currently, to the east of the main parking lot, there's a little bit of green area. Some people may not know that there's an underground storm collection chamber system there. So parking over the top of it is not really easy, but it may be feasible. Just may have a higher price tag than paving over soils. But there's a potential for adding some parking spaces there. And the other potential areas, there's a little tree wooded area off the smaller parking area that could be expanded out for future parking. Again, not part of the current bid, but it's something that the district. Any questions? What we'd like to do is, make a recommendation for the next time we meet, so we can shake your class under contract and start. And you want to talk about the schedule?
Well, they haven't submitted their schedule, they're waiting to find out how much we're gonna take, but, they did initiative of being competitive in the summer. We'll narrow down a more detailed schedule once we know for sure. All
What's our process for deciding what we're doing, what we're not doing, reviewing bids?
So we review the bids against the budget and we're within budget. So we're in the position where we could accept all of the low bids. Should we choose to, if we're not happy with any of the specs, then we could go back to the drawing board.
So the way it is currently, if we accepted all the bids, those future areas could be developed as part of a future.
Correct, yeah. The milling and topping is really something to prolong the life of the existing parking areas now. expanding out, you're not really going to undo what you're doing with scope, so. Yeah.
If we decided later that we wanted to add a second batting cage, we did think about locations. Did you point
Yeah,
to where?
yes, potentially, second batting cage could be added on parallel to the one batting cage that's part of the scope. The caveat there is it does start to get into hillside, so there's more grading and drainage have to be looked at. Another possible option is, as discussed, fully investigated yet, with possible location over the softball area.
Does that address everybody's concern?
There was also questions about the lights, and I know that you did provide,
The last time we met, yeah.
provided some graphics.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
if that's been shared, but it
Yeah.
definitely can be shared.
It has been shared.
Evaluating existing light bulb. Look for more feedback as that systems.
And when would the time frame for that be?
So that will
Part of-
officially design and make both. And then, so we get back together and just. Yeah.
So we can talk about it, facilities committee, larger committee.
When you're talking about doing the lights and stuff on Meadow and Hickey Way, have you looked into doing any energy with NYSERDA, looking on like an on-site energy manager and having all the lightings evaluated and everything?
That's something we certainly will investigate if there's any grants available for lighting replacement.
There's tons of grants available. Yeah, I mean, especially when we're going to be reviewing the HVAC and everything like that.
Yeah.
You can get a ton of money from NYSERDA. National Grid also does the lighting. So there's a ton of money that's out there.
Yeah, we'll look into that first.
We're familiar with that. We did have some initial discussions regarding NYSERDA grants, you know, and then we'll continue to look for opportunities.
This might be a silly question. So the base bid, I see, and then the alternates, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you're getting pricing for these bids, is it the base bid, obviously, because that's the main one, and then just one of the alternates, or you're gonna bid them all and then see where they come in at and then have a
Yeah.
better, make a decision that way?
Correct, yeah, so we bid, yeah, the way it's.
So it's just 5 jobs or, okay,
The way it is, the contractors bid the base bid, that's their base contract bid. And then all the alternates add on to that.
gotcha.
And we have the liberty to choose whether we take 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 4.
Gotcha. Okay,
And we can't take the alternates without the base, so that's,
okay, thanks for that.
Does the base bid include the drive all around the parking lot?
So the base bid only includes this orange pinkish color area. To drive around the parking lot is already reported to the current.
Okay, so that was already taken care of, that it was done with a prior thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank God.
I know.
That would be a horrible.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
Paul.
Thank you very much.
you got a shot. You got a couple of them. Ready?
So next
Video.
is
Good job. Next.
So next is our, thank you very much. So next is our budget presentations, the last of our presentations, facilities, technology, and special programs. And I am going to start by having Mr. Bill Darcy go over facilities highlights and needs.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I've met a few of you, not all of you. My name is Bill Darcy. I've acted as Director of Facilities for the district since early November. I work most days alongside of our head custodian, a new position filled by Jason Cribbs, who had a position within the district prior to that for a little while. Jason becomes my eyes and ears on the floor, as I like to say during the day, He, along with mechanics who operate independently of his department. Jason's been influential, able to organize with me some things that we see, some things that maybe hadn't been done before. His relationships with the principals, people in the schools, very, very positive. So as we move forward, you might be seeing more of Jason as well. I'll go over a few of the highlights of both the capital project and in-house local projects. We'll start with the capital project phase 1, Harmony Hill, bedside elevator upgrades. Both of these elevators have been put online. Just tweaking both mechanical and cosmetic upgrades in these cars. On phase 2, Cohoes High School, we'll start with, we'll run through each of the schools, the turf field with stadium lights, bleachers, softball field upgrades, and partial roof. Everything there completed except for softball field upgrades. Softball field has been accepted by us. It is playable, and at the end of the season, it gets an outfield drainage upgrade, and the dugouts need to be completed.
Can I ask a question there?
Sure.
The dugouts, what do they have to, I know, because they look like they're done with the exception of the roof, and then, so what is the plan for next year? Do you have to redig that hole and redesign that whole area, or is it just the roofing?
Roof modifications to the fencing,
Okay,
both the high fence, the backstop, and how it meets the fencing on the dugouts themselves. And one of the dugouts on the third base line, concrete had cracked, did not set porproperly. That's good.
okay,
There's a small tweak about maybe adding a little bit of hard surface for the porta johns.
okay,
Mountain being off the grass. It's like, as long as we gotta tear that up, why don't we just clean this up a little bit? But just so you'll see fences, roofs, and like I said, the one side of the concrete has to be redone.
Okay.
Middle school science classrooms, bathrooms, hot water heater, plaster repairs, partial roof. All completed. We've been in the science rooms, on and off, talking about small tweaks and furniture. This is helping us with the high school science room modifications that are going to happen this summer. What works? What might we change? Can I borrow something of yours to try in my room? So this furniture going back and forth, this idea is going back and forth as we approach the renovation of that entire wing, high school science room. Abram Lansing, exterior painted, library, windows, and screens. Paint job's obvious. You can see it from miles away. Library looks great. Windows and screens we're still working on. They're making great next week. We're going in there and cafeteria. Start looking at that as well as more classrooms. Harmony Hill locker room conversion into instructional space. Windows and ADA curb, all complete. If you haven't seen these two instructional spaces in Harmony Hill School, if you can someday take a walk, great use of space or reutilization of space to two rooms that are quiet, private, and bright. Really, I've taken people in and showed them that a few times in the last few months. Take a look if you can. And sky exterior roof and skylights. Capital outlay, Cohoes High School auditorium stage refinished and curtains replaced. Stage floor was resurfaced. We work together now with users of the space, how to utilize it the most out of this floor while keeping it in nice shape. It's brand new. Apron, forward section, obviously finished architecturally. So you have a working surface and a finished section. Work together on keeping that up. Curtains, a new and clean and inherently flame retardant product that does not need to be flame proofed on a regular basis, provided you keep that product dust free, oil free, clean. Local projects, these are in-house. Our walks through the buildings with principals, Peggy, Stacy, myself, and Jason. What's on our minds? Cohoes High School stage lights, partial upgrade. Stage lights last summer, there's a small request to complete that. This is the stage lighting, not any of the common area or the house lighting. All of that, 80 to 90% more energy efficient than what it would replace. Automated, so climbing is less. And obviously, if you're not going in the air, safety factors going up. Cohoes Middle School, shop room refresh plumbing upgrades, all completed. District-wide tree removal, furniture upgrades, clean out and storage solutions. So guys in the department have talked to me a lot about the tree removal. I didn't see it, but I can see where they've been, and that's a constant eye on properties, conditions, and that's something that they will go back to on it. Furniture upgrades, housekeeping, and the clean out and storage solutions, that's ongoing. It depends on which building you go into and which department you're talking to. Who's got product? What not storage? Who's got storage? What not a need for? Is it practical to move things to another building? How much back and forth is that going to create? We're still working on a lot of that, but we have done quite a bit in these early months. HVAC audit, scope to be determined. So, looking to do is all heating, ventilation, and air conditioning within the district. We're watching mechanical costs rise. We're looking at more repair. We're looking at the fact that both labor and components, parts, prices have skyrocketed. Post-COVID, you see substantial increase in things like this. So what we're looking to do is take a look at the entire district, every building, from an engineer's perspective. Talk to us about the age of this equipment. Talk to us about current conditions. Are we at or beyond useful life? Where should we start? What building or what components to keep these systems moving into the future? Anticipating contractual increases, heating and cooling, electric, gas, garbage, and phone. Just like home, just add a few zeros, right? Watching utility costs constantly. Watch emails and the discussions of consortiums that service districts. So I know they're researching and I know they're looking on behalf. But prices north all the time. Electricity the same. Gas, they're all obviously all tied together. Traffic. City moved the price on us just a little bit at the end of 24. And so while we deal with that, we're looking at some state contract options and alternatives to see, not if we want to jump out of that agreement, but first if we're competitive, if we're at least doing our due diligence on what it is we're spending for trash removal. And phone. Obviously costs tick up. EJ and I, we cross lines constantly looking at different forms of what the communications providers are sending to us, what our costs are, what it takes to run voice over IP in 6 buildings, what it takes to run bandwidth in 6 buildings to get to the networks that he's managing every day. 3 and 5 and 8 years ago, if you upgraded communication in a building, depending on your need, some of it could be very antiquated right now. And it has to do with your needs, but it also has to do with a building's, it has to do with the industry. As the technology changes, what you need to provide changes. How you build for it changes. So are we in something that may be very affordable, but we could be getting a little more for a little more spent? We could be getting a little more for a little less spent. Where are we? Last time we hashed out both phone and internet communication. Planned facilities, local initiatives, again, internal. Walks we took in the fall with the principals and with Peggy and Stacy, the things that come from that. Alumni gym floor in the high school, full sanding, refinishing, and an audio system upgrade. So I'd have to look at paper because I haven't digested it yet, but the district is on a system where gymnasium floors get done every year, not every room every year, and not a full sanding. Sometimes a full sanding right down beyond logos, sometimes just a surface. This year, alumni gym floor in the high school will be refinished, and the audio system upgrade in the gym was done last week. Jumped ahead on that, had product in, small upgrade. Jeff Hunos listened to it, a few other people in the school. They're very happy with that. Cohoes Middle School gymnasium floor surface level, won't go down beyond the logos, or lines. Refinished, and hallway lighting upgrades. When I met the former principal of the school the first day back in November, one of the first things he said to me about his building was, geez, if I could just brighten up. My goal was if I could put light, if I could put paint, thinking simple requests. And a week later, I walked through this building and I said, geez, he's right. Just a little something. So what we're looking at is to try this in by floor. We'll price it first, second, or third. We can get away with more than one floor in 1 year, all the way. If not, maybe this summer and the next summer, summer after, just to go along with a lot of what's already been done in this building. They were Lansing courtyard cleanup and repair. So those inherently flame retardant stage curtains that now outfit the entire high school auditorium. There's a couple in the district here and at Harmony Hill where the back curtain wants to be replaced. It's old. It's never going to take traditional flame retardant treatment that the curtains in the front of those two schools can still take and are certified for. So we'll change that out, hopefully, pretty soon. There was advanced gymnasium floor surface level refinish. Harmony Hill, there's a stage curtain replacement, district-wide various painting products. Housekeeping, everywhere we want. Oh, we can paint that. Oh, we can paint that. So there's a list. We actually, Jason Cripps took a second walk after we walked the buildings with the principals, just to talk about paint. So it comes back with a list like this. Absolutely, we'll do this much in the first year, but we've got it. Patience. Take a look at that. With that, any questions for me?
I just want to say, and I know you weren't here when we talked about the various building needs assessments, but just so you know, you changed the needle. The needles changed that sometimes in the past, building conditions were brought up as an area of need. And this time it was brought up as a highlight and a strength. So throughout our needs assessment meetings. So thank you.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to say that I very much appreciated the walkthroughs that you did at all of the schools with the principals and the list that you had and checking everything. And even if it's a small housekeeping issue, it still needs to get recorded and looked at. And it was very thorough and greatly appreciated, actually, and very informative. Now, my other thing is I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you have to look at the NYSERDA Clean Green Schools program. They have training for you. They have programs where they'll come in and they'll do all of these assessments and work with you on it. NYSERDA offers a lot of rebates on it. Troy School District is currently going through it right now. Usually they'll reimburse you for like 75% of the costs. I don't know if you don't know about it, but it's a great program.
I don't know if I have cross paths with NYSERDA Clean Green.
Clean Green,
Down for you.
yep. And it's also the NYSERDA Flex Tech program.
What's that?
It's the Flex Tech program, which is the other one.
Anyone else?
So I do know that, you know, also an expert on lighting. I'm just hoping that maybe you can help the lighting in
Sure,
my
absolutely.
office to just.
It is, my career started in entertainment. So graphic lighting designer and production electrician trade. And I learned big buildings from bringing shows and out of big buildings for many, many years. But along the way, I've done architectural lighting. I've lit some museum art, houses of worship. I really enjoy the architectural, probably because after many, many years in the theatrical, it was a different flair, it was a different practice. Even as what appears to be simple as a gymnasium or a hallway, Illuminating Engineer Society has specifications for what these rooms need to be like. We've done color and lumen output and things like that. Yeah, no, I'll enjoy that.
Mine's just very simple lighting too. Over the mirrors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next in presenting The next, C.
I'm gonna jump in with the proposition, that's why.
Oh, sorry.
So this is just a good spot to remind everyone that on the May ballot, we will have 3 items. We'll have the annual budget, we'll have the board election, and then we'll also have the capital reserve proposition. So again, this is just a reminder, we talked about it earlier in the season, but the proposition is to spend 2 million from our capital reserve monies. So this doesn't impact the tax levy whatsoever. It doesn't impact the local budget. It's just the authorization for us to spend the money from the reserve on the items that have been identified as priorities. So we talked about the improving of the lighting on the campus for the high school and Harmony Hill, so the external lighting, improving that. The replacement and upgrades of the auditorium lighting, so that's the house lighting and the lighting over the seats of folks who are watching the shows. And then construction of a storage shed for athletics. We've purchased a lot of new equipment for our brand new field, and we want to maintain that equipment. And for our track team as well. And then the enhancement of the courtyard at the high school. So that'll be a great space where students will be able to have lunch outside when it's nice, and they'll also be able to use that for instructional space when it's nice out. And then 2 walk-in coolers for the middle school and for Abram Lansing. And that is to improve the program, our food service program will be able to offer more fresh product if we're not keeping the product in these small individual coolers, and we have a nice walk-in cooler where we can have fresh produce, etc. So again, no impact to the tax levy, and it'll be the 3rd item on the ballot this upcoming May.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, EJ, Oni will do our instructional technology, information technology highlights and needs.
I
know
Good evening, EJ Mahoney, Network Administrator. One of 4 other, no, one of 4 staff members, Katrina Hunt, Jensen Giacomo, and Thomas O'Keefe, who work in the IT department, providing IT services to the district. This past summer, for example, the 5th and 9th grade cohorts got 250 new Chromebooks. They're yoga style, they can flip over, they have touch screens, brand new, 3-year warranty. We also purchased some additional Chromebooks that went to the 3rd and 4th grade for computer-based testing. We actually did another order this spring to swap out some of the older non-touch Chromebooks that were in those grades. And then we also are setting up 25 laptops for the future ready pathways. Because they were getting Chromebooks previously, and it was identified that laptops were a better fit. Interesting fact about these laptops, once the students successfully graduate future ready pathways and go out of college, laptop goes with it. Katrina and Jen this summer worked on some system transitions. One was Synergy to School Tool and Schoology. They also worked on the Apex Learning to Edgenuity transition for the high school. On my end, we switched web filters from Securely. It was fun to find your way around it securely and configure things. To GoGuardian. And it was well received by the teachers because they had been using GoGuardian a couple years ago before the transition to Securely. Also this year, we completed phase 2 of the copier installation, and we are currently using PaperCut, which is a printer management software. It gives us some information on pages printed. We're not checking everyone. These guys were. We're not updating everyone just yet. But But we also print release with badges, so instead of having a print job go directly to the printer and no one claim it, staff have to go swipe their badge, enter their PIN code, and it will release the job. So savings of paper.
And that's new?
Yes, this year, September. So they're,
Anyways, and then last year we worked on E-rate and identified a need to replace our
battery backups for our networking and server equipment. We went through that process. Those items will be installed next week during the break. We were on a NiCad battery, lead acid battery, that was roughly, 5-year lifespan. And with our E-rate funds, we're able to go with lithium ion, which gets about 10 years. And going off what Bill said earlier, during the elevator renovation, we connected the emergency call lines to the phone service. And while doing that, we identified a need to actually put on something more reliable that we can get through NERIC, which provides us with a cellular line that has a 24-hour battery. So in case of an emergency, the elevators will call out and then a 24-hour battery in case the building loses power. We're also tying those into the phone system for emergency calls in the case that the building loses internet access, which our voice over IP phones run on.
So instead of saying, please contact us via Parent Square during those times, we can actually take the call.
Take the call.
And in line with that, we're also looking at utilizing the phone service that NERIC provides and getting off our current vendor who we've had a couple issues with service dropping over the past couple of years. And tying into what Bill did say about taking a look at things as technology improves, we did move from older technology to newer technology with that vendor, but we still suffer some issues with service, configuration, lines get broken at various points. So we're gonna look at going with the NERIC service. We also installed a huddle camera, which replaces the NFHS system, I think it is. Doesn't charge you a fee. And that was, there's one in the high school large gym behind the bleachers, up on one of the, I think one of the metal posts. And then out on the press box is the outdoor one. And it has 3 lenses in it that follow movement along the field. And then again, Edgenuity for credit recovery at the high school. It replaces the previously used program Apex. Question? Our anticipated needs are a computer support technician full-time. We, again, provide services to the whole district. There's just 4 of us. We're doing instructional software, we're doing computers, Chromebooks, which is pretty much a full-time job in and of itself. Managing issues with printers, Schoology, computer-based testing, not to mention the cybersecurity aspects that are brought about by New York State Ed Law 2D. So we need some more people to assist with the workload. We're also planning, as long as I think the tariffs hold off, getting some student and staff Chromebooks. We have a 90-day grace period, so I think we're doing purchase orders in before July 8th, I think it is.
Right.
So we're gonna go for the same plan as we did last year, which is 2 cohorts, the 5th grade and the 9th grade, and add a few more in as replacements for new students that come to the district, et cetera. We're gonna be ordering some ViewSonic displays to replace areas that have projectors, but also because the high school science wing is being renovated this summer. So we're gonna put ViewSonic displays in those classrooms once they're renovated. And then
going for a maximum cost allowance through, I think it's NICEAD, which is available because of the New York State SAFE Act, where we can get reimbursed on camera and security upgrades, various security upgrades. So that would be very helpful to meet some of our needs. And then for software, we're going to be removing FunHub, which the elementary school uses, most of Mac, which is the middle school, Genetech, which is our security cameras, Gipper is athletics. And actually going onto the Genetech, we're looking at improving synergy through that by tying in our door system to that, to the Genetech. And then maybe items for alerts and alarms that we could utilize moving forward. For new software, the high school and middle school are looking at Securely e-Hall Pass. We did purchase Conjugamos for the middle school, high school languages. That was pushed by Tasani, is it? Our virtual French teacher. It's a gamified learning application to improve engagement in learning languages. And then the high school is doing Common Lit.
We moved it to new because they are going to do it.
Yeah. And then we're exploring other gamified applications that are not just tied to languages. So Edpuzzle, quizzes, and a couple others that are similar. We're taking a look at getting onto one platform so we're not spread out across multiple platforms.
The teacher leaders and their departments are, with Jensen Giacomo, have been exploring these different platforms and will be deciding. Thank you. And next up, Erin Hill, Director of Special Programs, and Karen Renessi, Assistant Director.
Before we get started, let's all just look out the window, take a really nice big breath, and acknowledge that we are the best. So this is our enrollment of students with IEPs in the district and some students. And the important takeaway for all of you, because it's every year, is that this number is not going to get smaller. And we have a lot of transients. We have some born and bred Cohoes students with learning disabilities, and we have a lot of people looking back at Floyd, Alton, and Berg, and geez, not only do we have a lot of kids, we have a lot of changing kids who miss something here and then here and here. So those are the kinds of things that we have to do for ways to support those students. We unfortunately are in consortium partnership with Waterloo and Indian Island. We're sharing ideas as well as sharing related services and putting each other's students first. If we have a space, one of those other schools needs space or vice versa. If we look at this number of students, my takeaway is that there are well over 400 with IEPs. So if we had a building, we would be the biggest school in the special department. And when we are looking at trying to help kids, we're looking there. And fortunately for us, Lansing and Harmony Home and Skype have done a really nice job working together and working with Karen and Peggy helping kind of spread out our students, so we don't have anywhere that has too big of a chunk of them. In the elementary, they're all relatively either 53, 63, 45 students in the district, despite the fact their overall catchment area is not being the same. So that is terrific. The other takeaway is the number of students that we have not in the district. These are all students, they're in, we put them all together, they're in more than 14 different schools outside of our district, and that includes charter schools and thank you schools that their parents have chosen. It includes students both CSD or school of ours in the consortium, or students that are in private placements from as far west as Schenectady, from like out west. And as far as east as Pittsfield, we have 2 students attending programs from Pittsfield because their needs match up with that school, and then it's no one in the capital. That's that. So just so you know, we are a little city, but man, did we spread out. They got volunteers and they're doing the best to keep our students here, to keep them close.
So our anticipated needs, and I know I'm the girl who always talks about the schoolers who are coming in, but we currently have 12, which is down from 14, which was a few weeks ago because we did have a couple students move out. So we have 12 students coming up into kindergarten who are currently either in self-contained or integrated classes. When I looked at our current functional skills classes, we had 10 spots. So my initial thought was, oh my gosh, we need another classroom because we have more students coming in than spots. An alternative program that we have come up with, though, to possibly not have to go to that functional skills classroom is an integrated kindergarten class. So I've been working with Mrs. DeChera on what that could look like for band Skype. It's exciting because a lot of schools in the area do have integrated classrooms, integrated co-teaching or integrated kindergartens. And it's really a classroom run by 2 teachers, a special ed teacher and a general teacher, typically a couple of aides, and they integrate the special education students into the classroom all day long. The curriculum is modified. Both teachers are responsible for all the students in the class, which really lends itself to a nice sense of community for the entire class. It's not split into this group's over here, that group is over there. So I think it's very exciting that this could come to us. So this is something that would be piloted in Van Skype, and then maybe in future years we could roll out to other elementary schools, maybe even in different grade levels. So with students coming in, they still do have those related service needs. So for related service, we're looking at additional speech, OT, and PT, not too much. And what's nice is that Waterville Lee also has a need for speech and PT because they are going through the same thing that we are. They just have a large number of students coming in. So we would be able to share with them, which is nice because it is very difficult to find somebody who's not full-time. They do not need OT, unfortunately, so we would need to look for 0.4 OT to service students. I did request 2 one-to-one aides, and that is not having specific students in mind for next year, but often once the school year starts, we might see that a student has very significant safety need that we need to address. So that is just in there just in case the need does arise. And then a part-time CSD chair, and this is something that came up in some of the building needs assessment meetings.
It came up with the middle school and high school. there's legislation from the state ed where we have to, it's very complicated when the students have disciplinary difficulties and we have to meet right away as a team. And they're, the middle school, high school are saying, we're gonna meet. So we hear them, we can just drop everything and come to this meeting on time. So, it's, but.
So just so you know, with the consideration of a part-time CSE chair, we believe it's something we could do through our 611 and 619 grants. So it would not be impact to the budget. Those are grants that we use for, students with disabilities. And then I just wanted to mention too, that right now we do share a PT with Waterville. And I mean, this year it's with Manans, next year Waterville. It's been working very well. It allows both districts to get a full-time employee to really attract a larger pool of employees. So it's a very successful model working together. Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, but there are more slides, not too many more. So I'm going to turn this over to Stacy, and then Stacy, I'll take them when I feel like it. How's that?
I love it. All right, so the 25-26 proposed budget. So this number has changed since the first time we met. Excuse me, it's increased about 250,000. So unfortunately, the state budget has not been finalized yet. And initially when we met, we thought we'd have a final answer by now, but we don't. So the expectation is hopefully we do a little bit better than was first presented to us. That's the thought process. We do receive other aid categories that are based off of what's expensed. So there is a little room that's not a total dollar figure that I'm uncomfortable with as far as not knowing the final number. It's not going to make or break the budget. So we increased it with the expectation that the final aid number will be better. So I just wanted to make that clear. So 54,865,497. That's going to be the proposed dollar figure that next time we meet, you will be voting on that. So it's a 2.67% increase and it's $1.4 million overall. So what's in that number? Mostly it's contractual expenses. There's not a lot of new items in that figure. So mostly the spend is on health insurance and pharmacy costs, transportation expenses, utilities, as our director discussed. All the utilities are increasing. So we had our trash contract, but electrical, gas, phone systems. And then we took a 5-year look back at our GCI, and it's doubled in 5 years. So the repairs, because everything is aging. So that's why that HVAC audit is really important to identify where we're at, what we need to concentrate on, and what we need to focus on as a priority so that we don't have any surprises moving forward. So all these things are important and strategic as we move forward. What is new really, and we'll go through the slides, but we're focusing on 3 main areas. So it's alternative programming, it's health and safety, security, and then it's IT. So we went 1-to-1 around 2020, 2021. We never increased the staffing. We really do need a dedicated service to meet the new needs of the students. So that's really where that focus is. It's really student-based. Just a reminder of the property tax cap. So we walked through this in February, and it's actually due to the state comptroller in March 1st. So the tax levy has not changed. So what we're proposing is the 18,468,672. What that means as far as revenue to offset that $1.4 million increase that I just talked about, it's $362,000 in new revenue for the district. So we do meet with the city, we talk about what the role might look like next year based off of our best estimates. And again, these numbers aren't final until the summer. So these are estimates, but the estimate is about on a house with an assessed value of $150,000, about $7 a month, $84 annually. So that's the estimates based off of what we know today. This is not meeting or exceeding the tax cap, so we're below the tax cap, so it'll require a 50% plus one in order for the budget to pass. And the actual tax cap was 3.67%, so 2% is close to half. From a historical trend, we've increased 1% last year and 1% the year before. So we've been very cognizant of what the economy looks like. And we're trying to be as modest as we can as we build the budget. From a revenue perspective, we're right-sized. A few years ago, it was getting close to 50-50, and that's not where we want to be, right? So when you combine the state aid, building aid, and federal aid, it's about 63% of our revenue source. So we're highly dependent on state aid. So whatever is happening at the state and federal level, it's going to impact us, and it's going to impact us hard. So again, 63%, that's where our focus is. About 33.5% of our budget is property taxes, and then we have pilot revenue at about 1%, consumer utility tax at 1%, and then other revenue at about 0.5%. This is just a reminder that the budget is not yet passed at the state level. They're expected to meet tomorrow and have a fourth extender with an unknown date as to how long that's going to be good for. So it makes it difficult to finalize the budget, but we have a deadline. And so the next time we meet, we have to take action regardless of if the state budget has passed or not. So these are our best estimates, and that's what we'll work off of.
So I'm going to go over the budget highlights, and you heard from each of these groups. What we did in terms of these slides are put the major items in the needs assessments. And at the elementary level, it was math, AIS, 0.5 for Van Skyke, 1.0 for Harmony Hill, and then a special education teacher at Abram Lansing to provide one teacher per grade level for win time. We would have loved to have included these in the budget. I mean, C has mentioned, that this is a tight budget this year. At Abram Lansing, the special education teacher the caseload of student needs can be met very successfully with the current balance of teacher to student ratio. This was to help enhance the what I need time when the students were working in additional groups. We do understand the need for math AIS. We're going to continue to look at current scheduling, continue to work with our instructional coach on training and implementation of math, really looking at tier 1 instruction. And then also, if as we go down the road, we do find our grants, title grants, et cetera, increase, and, there's some questions out there about those, then, that's something that we would definitely keep in mind. In terms of the middle school, campus safety monitor, the 0.5, this would bring the middle school to 3 campus safety monitors over the 2.5, and that would really allow us to stagger times, have robust coverage, at the end of the school day, have coverage on all 3 floors, at all times. So Math AIS, again, we do understand the need. There is currently a .4 Math AIS position in the budget that we would continue. I know that Mark and Tim are going to be working with the middle school, looking at the scheduling to see if there is flexibility within the current schedule to provide more of this. We don't know, can't say at this time, but continue to look at the current schedule. And the instructional coach who is here 2 days a week, the feedback has been very positive. She is now also working 1 day a week at the high school in terms of math. So really between, the two instructional coaches knowing the K through 12 curriculum, I think that's really going to help us in math too, because those skills build right upon each other. And then alternative education program, and we heard the need from both things, and we can go later at times a little more in depth on the plan. But at this point in time, this is in the budget for grades 8, 9, and 10. And then at the high school, you heard of the school safety director stipend. Laura mentioned that this would really be district-wide safety director, really helping to ensure that our campus safety monitors, our school safety officers all receive the training, somebody to help really coordinate district-wide the schedules, and then also allowing the whole team, the district-wide team, to really come together and have meetings and conversations. And then again, the alternative program. So outside of this, the instructional technologists, the information technology support would be the other addition to the budget. I do want to mention, I think that over the years, we have really done a solid job of maintaining positions within the budget to meet our student needs. And as you recall, there were some positions funded through ARP that we were able to continue in the budget to meet our student needs. So, I'm confident with that and with these additions that, we'll be able to, continue to grow and our students thrive. So Stacy.
So next steps, ideally, New York State will pass their budget before we meet next time, but I don't know if that'll happen. I can't make any promises. So fingers crossed there. After that, we have on April 23rd, we'll meet and you'll take action to approve the budget to go on the ballot. April 28th is the deadline for the board petitions, as well as the property tax report card. So I'll have that prepared for you and I'll send that to you. On May 7th, we have the public hearing, and the expectation is the newsletters will be mailed out by that time. So they'll go out to our residents. And then May 20th is the annual budget vote and the board election.
So before we go on to further topics, knowing that at the next meeting, we're going to be presenting this budget to you. Again, is there other information you would like? Is there other information to add? Questions? Does this summarize it? I know that you have the slides coming up for the 3 parts and the percentages for each, so I know that.
So much fun.
We just want to make sure that the information that you have what meets you. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So a few items left. Before I do the E&L update, I just want to have him share some exciting news with you.
So we had Rich Becker from UAlbany reached out to us 2 weeks ago now. We met with he and some partners that he has with MySci in Schenectady. They're engaged in a partnership and participating in a grant that's intended to serve 2,000 students across the capital region for the purpose of exposing them to STEM and engineering, specifically all fields of engineering, in order to increase student interest at the grade 7, 8 level. They'll be doing push-in programs, bringing speakers in, doing activities with kids in classrooms to expose them to the various, what could be career potential opportunities for them. This high school program, once those first cohorts of kids experience that awareness program, and they call it Discovery, it will then offer those cohorts of kids an opportunity to go and work on site at UAlbany or MySci and be part of hands-on everyday engineering programming and instruction. So we're excited to offer that in the context of exposing kids not only to a field, but then really giving them hands-on practical applications so that they begin thinking about career and what does all of this K-12 education add up to. And as we know, the field is changing out there. It's not like it used to be where VOTEC, they go off to BOCES and then some go off to college and some go off to the military. There's a real hodgepodge of collaboration and confluence of all three areas. So the more students are prepared and have awareness of what their skills are worth and marketable for, the better off they'll be post-high school. And so this is just one avenue, and we're very excited. Peggy wrote a letter and signed it, kind of committing us to being engaged in that grant process. So they'll be getting back to us within the next couple of weeks as they collaborate with the other districts that are going to partner with them.
That's great.
That's great.
So then finally, and Stacy after me, do you have a business update? I forgot. Oh, you do. So not finally, so almost finally. I wanted to provide elementary ENL update to you. So after bringing this to your attention in previous meetings, there are like 4 different areas I think that you had asked about. One was parent input, one was training, one was budget, and one was enrollment. So I just wanted to go through those areas today. So there was a parent meeting held on March 6th. 19 families were invited, 12 families attended. There were families who had students whose homeschool was either Lansing or Van Skyke, and there were translators in Spanish, Ukrainian, Portuguese, and Chinese. And the principals discussed the possibility of students attending their homeschool next year. They stressed that it was being considered, that it was, decisions weren't made. Questions came up about class sizes at the other buildings' programs, and so they were assured that the programs and the class sizes were similar. Transportation did come up. I know that was out of the families that were there. Two families showed concern about that, but not the remaining families. So 2 out of the 12, they were told that if we made this move and they had a current 4th grader, they would be able to stay, as 5th graders. So that was the parent discussion. Our ENL teachers were there, our principals were there, and the feedback was positive. In terms of the training, and I could share, there is a robust plan for training. We have some strong in-house trainers. There's also, is it Questar, Jacqueline, called now? Questar 3? Questar 3, pardon? Oh, sorry, Arburn, who works, out of district on training for ELL. The training could begin in June, go over the summer, and then continue year-long. In terms of the budget, some questions were asked. So we spend approximately $300,000 on transporting students. However, this is 90% aidable. So the following year, you get 90% of that back in terms of aid. So although there would be, although next year would mean not having to spend that $300,000, we will be getting the aid next year from this year. So that's really a rolling thing. So that amount is negligible. In terms of the staffing, if this were to occur, I think we talked about this, the numbers at Harmony Hill overall would decrease to the amount where that there could be a reduction in one grade. I know we shared the numbers with you, we showed where that would happen. So if you looked at that, and that would not involve any cuts because we did have a retirement and we had a classroom teacher move to that retirement in reading. That would equate to the cost of UNL teacher. We do know there would be the additional fifth grade year at Harmony Hill, but feel that that could be covered between, the teacher at Van Skyke could likely pick that up, unless there was a bigger influx. The one thing that I can't tell you is, will the enrollment stay consistent? I know that was a question and concern. We did see our enrollment, steadily rise over the past years. And I asked Jacqueline today, since we started talking this year, has it decreased? It's decreased by 2 students. We had one move to one neighboring district, one to the other. That's pretty typical. But I can't, forecast at this point in time what it would look like for next school year. So I wanted to just bring that back to you today, and talk to you about a couple potentials. I mean, we heard all the positives for doing this, students in their home schools, students in their neighborhoods, the increased strain on one building with having, so many students speaking so many different languages in there. So one is we feel prepared to do this next year. Another option is for us to continue to watch the enrollment, see if next year, if our enrollment does stay steady, looking ahead to the following year, but committing, as long as there were no drastic changes, to making this move a year from now, but providing some training throughout the whole school year. So that's where we're at, and I just wanted to have the discussion with you.
Peggy, and along the same lines as we went to the parents for their opinions, what has steps been made to the other buildings to alleviate any concerns from the teachers who will then have this on their plate, good and bad and all the things, just so we have a full scope of that. Hearing you say it's pretty budget neutral at the moment, does that include PD and things like that we know will be required at the other buildings to support this?
So there would be PD costs. We do get a Title III ELL grant and a Title III Immigrant Education Grant, and that is where we write in our PD costs. I do know that Kim Angus went and presented at Abram Lansing. Kim is the veteran ENL teacher at Harmony Hill. And just for the preliminary discussions, I think it was well received. At Van Skyke, Jacqueline is the ESL coordinator, so I think you had some discussions with your staff. So because you are so close to the content matter, I can ask the principals, they were there to share. Mr. Byrd, how did the meeting go?
I think our staff was very receptive. Staff, remember when we lost the students, and so I think they're very welcome back. The biggest concern is we'd like the decision made now. And we're already talking about person specialists next year. How do we divide up the staffing? We're talking about who wants to take special ed students, for instance, and then who would be the person who will be most interested in the ENL staff. That conversation is happening. We're just now waiting for final decision on board part. I think we're ready to go. We're nervous. But I think we're excited. We're always up for challenge. You know, I had no negative feedback. It's just, let's do it.
Thank you.
Do you think,
There's no motion to come. My teachers all want to come.
Right, yeah.
They're ready to say, I can talk about this in January, there's a possibility. I think in my building, the biggest, I would say, concern, or the thing that most maybe a little anxious about is the use of the technology. So learning how to use an iPad or use the Chromebooks for the translations and interpreting with the students in there. And I know that at Works Building, teaching great job using that technology. I feel very confident that the teacher would be able to come down and show my teachers who are more than, have the ability to learn very quickly on how to use this technology.
Thank you.
I just, do you feel that if we went and did it this year, that the teachers and your staff would feel like it was rushed on them without the proper training being done, as opposed to putting it off until next year, since, I mean, it's not gonna cost us any more, any less, anything like that. And
Everyone a full year.
it gives everyone a full year to acclimate to it and get the training in. Pros, cons.
I'm not gonna. My faculty, when I went from one ENL class to two, each grade level, they only had a summer. And they were brought up to speed with all of our institutes. I mean, we've got teachers that have done it. They sure at least have done it forever. And they had classes of 25 kids and 13 ENLs. So they were heavy duty. And they brought those new teachers up to speed within that first month.
I mean, obviously it can be done, but do we want to continually do that to our staff? Is what I'm asking. Does our staff, do they appreciate us maybe researching things and looking into them and then saying, okay, you've got, a year, or not even a year, you've got 6 months to do this, as opposed to you've got June and July? That, I guess, is my question, that how do we feel about our staff and pushing this on them?
I think that could play into the families as well, if we basically say this is
Right.
happening after next school year, plan for it accordingly. If you want to look for a different apartment, if you want to figure out your transportation arrangements, like it gives everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge adjustment for a parent that, first of all, English isn't their first language. And they may have to move, they may have to adjust their work schedule, they may have to, it's not just cut and dry. And I do understand that I understand our teachers are awesome at learning and all that stuff. My concern is, do we always want to just be like, okay, you got 2 months to do this?
I
So
think we have to consider too, the burden it is on Harmony Hill, though. The reason why they want to do this, we have to weigh the benefits, the pros and cons. It's not just, we don't want to burden our staff more, but staff at Harmony Hill is already burdened.
Right, but
So
if they know the relief is coming, I mean, it helps everybody prepare. We can't just go and throw to these families that now your child is going to a different school and they have all the resources already set up, knowing what is happening. I mean, they're behind the 8 ball to begin with.
I understand. But
We have to think of all sides.
that was the point of the family meetings, was to gauge the family's response to that. And you had two families that were brought up.
We're concerned with.
Two out of 9.
With a
That's a,
Percent.
yeah.
out of 12, yeah,
2 out of 12.
So thought you said only 9 attended.
12 attended, I'm sorry, 19 families were invited, 12 attended. So I think number one, I just wanted to talk to, make sure there was a commitment to moving in this direction. I do understand that if something happened with enrollment that was drastic, right, that would give us, so the commitment because either way, then it is, you know, a commitment to doing this. I feel that there have been discussions with teachers and parents, so it's not going to be new news.
Okay.
And it is just in terms of what's the best training plan, you know, what's the best way to proceed. And just, that's why, I mean, this discussion's a little different than some of our previous discussions. And, you know, we're willing, ready, and able to go to either option, I would say.
So I do agree that the quicker we can make a decision, the quicker that they can get the
Absolutely.
training started.
As Mr. Burt said, I mean, they just want to know, yes or no.
I agree.
Yeah, but in fairness, they wanted to know a month ago, they wanted to know 2 months ago.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as a board, it's our job to take the educated advice from our educators. What is the best step to move forward? I don't feel it's my job to be in the weeds on it. I just want to make sure that all the facts are laid out, certainly for a budget. But the other piece is the satisfaction of the families involved. So next steps would be agenda item for the next meeting. Is that the?
It's really not it's a
not a
discussion.
single item.
It's not really an item.
Oh, I thought it was.
Correct. I'm asking you, I'm sorry.
Except that it's a funding issue, it would be a budget item.
Yeah,
But it wouldn't be, okay.
yeah, it wouldn't be
Got it, good, I feel it.
but I do think that, you know, I mean, I do know we're on vacation next week, and then we have the meeting the week after that. So yeah, it's a time to say either, okay, you know, yep, we're gonna do this right now, or we're gonna do it the year following. It needs to be very, very soon. We just need to proceed. And I'm sorry about that. Wasn't that funny? That was. Like, oh, do you know?
She's like this all day long.
All right. So, thank you. Thank you.
My turn?
Your turn.
My turn. Update for the annual risk assessment. So our internal auditor, Michael Wolf, did come in. He did the field work, but he has several engagements that he works on at the same time. So there's some questionnaires that haven't made their way to us yet, so we haven't been able to finalize that process. I've reached out to him. He estimates that next week he'll get those questionnaires to us. We can get them done pretty quickly, hopefully. And then he estimates the report for 4/22, which is the day before the board meeting. So hoping to turn that around very quickly and have that approved, because there is a deadline for New York State, because this is last year's information. So the deadline is the end of April. So that might be an addenda potentially for the next meeting. Not any fault of our own, though. I did hear from MMB, which is our external auditors, so they're scheduled to come in at the end of May for the phase 1 of the audit. So that's the controls aspect. It's a couple of days they're here, they do all the testing. And then they'll be here mid-August for the financials. So that's, again, routine. We have a borrowing coming up in June. So we did temporary borrowings for the capital project through bands. So those are 1-year borrowings. So this next one is going to be an actual long-term debt, and it'll be our bond payment. And this will normalize our building aid as well. So that's expected for June. That will require the board president's signature. There's a lot of legal paperwork involved in that process. So that's June. BOCE's commitment is due 4/11. We're ahead of schedule thanks to our treasurer, Shelley Dame, and it's ready for PEG to certify. So she's going to do that tomorrow. That's right, 9:30. And last but not least, we have on the agenda tonight our maintenance mechanic, William Mull, is retiring. So I wanted to thank Will for his years of service and his dedication to the district. He's certainly been a great part of the team, and congratulations to Will. And that's it for me.
Does the board have any item on tonight's agenda they'd like to discuss? Anything from the community on tonight's agenda they would like to discuss? All right.
So could I say, I don't know where I was before, but I missed my opportunity. So I just want to just say that on the agenda tonight is Dr. Rendell's appointment. And I am very happy that he has decided to stay with us for another school year. And it's a pleasure working with you. And I said, wow, I have something to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then, can I get a motion that the board adopts the following resolutions of the April 9th, 2025 agenda? 6A through E, 7A through J, and X, A through C.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paradis,
Yes.
Mr. Giroux,
Yes.
and Mrs. Geller.
Still excused. All right, a couple items of note, information and considerations. Yankee Trails trip for high school students to attend Sports Business Day with the Jets at MetLife Stadium. I assume that's an exciting opportunity for both those students and their lucky teacher.
I know.
All the credit to Jet Beach together. It is.
That's a great opportunity.
Yeah, 30 students, so yeah.
Yeah.
And a thank you to Stewart's Holiday Match Program for their donation, which is going to help out at all 5 schools. And another thank you to Proctor's for their donation for Proctor's programs for Lansing. Any comments from the board on anything not on the agenda? Margaret left me one note.
No. I know.
The League of Women Vote, she has been in contact with League of Women Voters. As we know, we have at least 4 petitions out for the upcoming board election to discuss the possibility of doing a meet the candidates night or something along those lines. So there will be more information to follow from her on that. And do you have any UPK registration update?
I knew I forgot something. So UPK is still, Jacqueline, registration for UPK ends this week, at the end of this week. And then we can provide an update. Yeah, so I will provide that in the update. I'll ask Planning for finalized, yes.
Okay. Any comments from the audience on anything else? Absolutely.
Sarah Fisher, I'm working on for the Avenue. I again wanted to give a shout out. A month ago, a high school had a little volleyball tournament. And again, as a high school parent, it's not many guys that you get to go out with their kids. It's just it was a great night. They've been elevated a little bit, taking some suggestions from last year. So I just want to give a shout out to the PTO who organizes it, the CTA, all the members who play. It's incredible to see, the members of the CTA come out on a Friday night. It was 6 o'clock, so I think 8:30 till it ended, playing on the teams. And those who didn't even play, Mr. Sherman was here. Watching, CSD members also participated. So again, it's just all around a great night for everyone. And I want to say it's particularly great because the Churros get to leave high school with the first place championship.
I second that. It was a great event.
Awesome.
He said to be really disappointed in my daughter's dodgeball skills. I thought it was a great event.
Yeah, I first heard that up there with Ellis next year.
All right, board policy review at first reading of policy 2245, which is the ex officio student member of the board, and policy 7000, the facilities development goals. Dates for future meetings will be April 23rd here in the middle school library, along with May 7th. Can I get a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, demotion, promotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, removal of a particular person or corporation, and CSE negotiations and a legal matter?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paradis,
Yes.
Mr. Dross.
Yes.
And Mrs. Geller.
All right, we do not expect to come back into session. Thank you.
Thank you.